Hello, and welcome back for another speed draw. Today we are vintagifying the Monster High dolls. I love those dolls. They were literally my first dolls that I ever got into that I approached from a stance of face painting and doing face-ups. I remember when they first came out and I immediately called my friend Lindsay, who was in Connecticut at the time with me, at like 9 p.m. and was like, we have to go to Walmart or wherever we can to find these dolls because I need to face paint them. Like, I need to change their faces. It was my first introductions to face-ups, my first introduction to ball joint dolls, and really my introduction into collecting dolls, not just as something that little kids play with, but as something that you can keep and display. So Monster High dolls have kind of a special place in my heart because of that. And for this Vintagify session, I was really torn between the 50s or the 80s because I felt like either one could go either way and it would be pretty fun, but I asked you guys and you all wanted to see 50s, so that's what we're doing. I am referencing a lot of the art from Barbie from the 50s and 60s. I was pulling art from packaging and from promotional displays, but I also really enjoyed like the very, very, very classic look of the original Barbies, and I wanted to also incorporate that. So these aren't exactly how the promotional and advertisement art looks. I added a slight change and tried to incorporate how the Barbie actually looked in the 50s and 60s as well. So they're not completely on model, but it was done intentionally. Once again, we go to Pinterest and we get as much reference as possible. Here I am trying to reference the line art and applying that same line art treatment to my illustrations. It was done in a very choppy sort of way with like rough lines and a lot of broken lines as well. So I tried to emulate that. I don't know how successful I was, but I tried to make it look as kind of loose and sketchy as I possibly could, because that's kind of what the original Barbie artwork looked like, was this very loose, sketchy kind of look. So once we get into color, I pulled a lot of reference images and tried to just specifically eyedrop right from the image. It was kind of hard picking which skin color would work for literal monsters when I was just referencing like a human color palette, but I think I made it work. I tried to make sure I was sticking with similar saturation, and I didn't want my blacks to be completely black because I noticed when I was looking at the reference images that they weren't completely black either. So I opted for more of a light gray, and the line art I end up lightening up a bit as well, and then I also end up coloring over it too. This also took way longer, this coloring stage, because I had to hand color in everything instead of dragging and dropping the color in with Procreate's version of a paint bucket tool. Because all of my lines were broken, if I tried to do that, it would just spill into everything and mess up. So I had to hand color in everything. So it took a while. And also you can see that I keep trying to figure out what color background I want to do, but I ended up settling on black because I just felt that that gave the good monster vibe. Shading was also interesting because it seemed like the original artist for these Barbie illustrations really only did shading with cast shadows and maybe a little bit of shading along like the legs and the fingers, but other than that there really wasn't much. So it took a very deliberate placement. Like you can look at the art that there's a very, very deliberate placement on where they were putting these cast shadows. So I was trying to do the same. Also, I apologize for this section here. My camera decided to not be focused during this part for some reason. I don't know why. So, yep, enjoy this blurry mess. It gets better though, I promise. It's just this one little section. overall, this was really fun to do and a little challenging, which I like. I like being able to challenge myself a little bit. I think it turned out really cute. I hope it's not too boring. I was afraid maybe I made the designs a little boring, but well, what can you do? But I really enjoyed how they turned out, and let me know what you think. If you want to know how I got this vintage looking effect, I have a video on this already that I can put here in the video as a card, and you can go to it. And that's about it. Let me know if there's something else you want me to Vintagify. Thinking maybe Powerpuff Girls next. And yep, have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.